you've now moved through the first 4 steps. You know, centering, opening, raising the walls. Now we're at the kind of expressive. Now we're at shaping. And that's the poet. That's in a way. That's kind of the poetry of pottery and shape. You can't proceed now without an idea. You have to have. You can't. This is like a. This is you have to. This is like you gotta have a little bit of a. You don't have to know absolutely, but you have to have a general idea of where you're going. You know, is this picture going to be, you know, and usually you do that by sketching. Of course, potters sketch in making. So if you were, you know, going to sit down for a day, or really if you were going to sit down to do this, you'd be working on a series of a dozen of these pictures. And all that would be, you'd be obsessed with this shape and you'd be sketching. Do you know what general shape you want?
Yeah, I wanted to follow that. So.
The let's pull it down. Let's pull it down because the more clear you have of an idea, where you have to have an idea right now. Yeah, we can just sit right up there.
Yeah, I wanted to
and you have to have a fairly clear idea, and you have to be not embarrassed about, you know, emulating or copying, because that's how every potter learns. Is they take that shape, and it will become your own, and it will you know, you'll slightly modify it, and then through. I do want to touch on kind of accessorizing or the glazes you use or the handle you apply. All of that, the skin you put on it will all make it your own. But these shapes are very universal and very timeless, and they go. Every culture has them, and so you don't have to reinvent them.
Right.
There is a kind of a limited number of shapes and forms.
Finite.
You will personalize it and make it your own over a long period.
I'll find my
version
of it.
Don't fool yourself into going, I have to make a shape that the world has never seen before. It's not going to happen.
No.
So just get that. There's some things in here that, why not try? Because you're just probably, kind of like you guys, somebody said a great line to me when I said I wanted everything to work like I was 20, and somebody said very snarkily, how's that working? You know, and I said, not very well, you know. Yeah,
I've heard
that was
that
good,
before,
Mary. Thank you. That was
How's that working for you?
That question was
no, you were not. It was like
that was just the truth.
that was just the truth. So, you know, it's better to just accept that and then let other things come in that are going to make the pot personal and make it. You know, yes, you want to take that universal and make it personal, but it's not going to be in the general idea. That archetypal shape for that picture has been, I think that's been around. That's what Plato was talking about. It's existed in the ether. I mean, the idea of a bowl, that simple Chinese bowl that's just, or that Persian, that's been around before before you were born. It's going to be around after we're gone.
Discovered it as opposed to inventing it.
Exactly.
And they're forms, well, like bowls, they're forms found in nature, right?
It's like the wheel. That was already there. You know, the chair was already there before somebody, you know, made it. It's just marvelous. When you get to this point, now this is when life as a potter gets interesting.
How thick is that?
It's really, you know, it's perfect. It's like a 1/4 to 3/8 inch thick. It's perfect.
It's 4 pounds, which is...
It's amazing. Amazing skill.
So this is where the art starts.
This is really where the art starts and starts to grow. And this is when you can get to this point. Now life gets really interesting as a potter. But you have to have an idea. And so you've got that idea. You've got it, you've defined it. You have to have that. Otherwise, you're just going to, if you keep messing around now, searching, you're going to ruin it. You know, you
It'll
have
get tired and fall
The
down.
clay will get tired.
Because now it's dry,
Now it's dry.
and it could be strong, but
So the shaping of this, a couple of things I could say about shaping. One that you may not know, you don't need to have a hand on the outside. You know, you can actually go in with a rib, let's say, and I'm just going to start belling it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And you don't even need, and in some ways, I don't do this that much, but in some ways it takes some of the stress off.
Right. Right. Because you're giving it a totter
Right.
inside. Would you then
now it's pretty dry inside too, huh?
back in and collar the neck and the rim of it?
Yes. First thing I'm going to do is start blowing this out.
Yeah.
Now so you can see I just started to ease my way into that. I could be more forceful with this, but and push it, but I'm just going to kind of walk into this a little gently. But you can see I've started to develop that. Now, you could say, oh, okay, I don't want it to, you know, can you see how this has more of a kind of we could actually make this more long and lean. We could make it, that general idea, we could make it fatter and more blown out.
Yeah.
So you're starting to feel that. Now there's two ways to do this. Carl always used to say this, there's two ways to make this look fatter. One, you can push this out. Two, you can take this and this in, and it accomplishes the same thing. Where do you see it wanting to go? More so out?
No, I feel like I would
Start to go in here a little
start
bit.
to go in.
So
then
so you're
collar.
making little mini decisions here. So I'm going to start by going in. Yeah, there is a little extra clay down
Corner,
here.
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't super efficient in my
That's okay.
corner.
The thing here is, I don't know if you can, what we're doing is we're making little subtle modifications here, okay? We're not over-committing to anything. Okay, let's respond to that now. And let's focus on the line of the pot. If you're going to focus on anything as a potter, it should be, you should obsess over the line of the pot. You mentioned two potters, Lucy Ree and Claire Iliad, who have a very, very wonderful sense of line and form. It's funny, most potters, the most important thing is the line, or what we call the profile, or the line of the pot. That's what most potters obsess on. I asked Linda Christensen that as she was working. I like to ask potters a tough question. Where I said, and most potters have this kind of lexicon of forms, but I felt like she didn't. I felt like that's not her thing. And she said, I said, most potters, I have this kind of vocabulary forms that, you know, that it's the most important thing to me. It was the most important thing to Carl. I think with Clary, it was probably the most important. With Lucy Reed, her bottle form, her bowl form, those are forms she just owned and obsessed over. And her line of that, you could tell that was her most important thing. But I sense with Linda Christensen, it's not. Linda's a very good potter.